Let's go imagining together to a place so old it's always new. We'll tell a tale, my friends, to you, and share a smile before we're through, and share a smile before we're through. Bum, 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 bum.
Ever since I was a little boy, about 6 years old, I've had this dream about food. Now here's the dream. There's this big swimming pool. I'm standing up on the diving board. I dive in. Instead of water in the swimming pool, it's filled with cherry jello. So instead of swimming, I eat my way out. Well, today's story is about a boy and a girl who dreamed about food too, but their dreams came true. There's somebody else in the story. I'd like to ask you a question. Would you accept a cupcake from someone like this? Would you, Ray? Me neither, because today's story is called Hansel and Gretel. Long ago in the forests of Germany, there lived a poor woodcutter. The few pennies he made came from selling firewood. For weeks, no one had needed wood, so now he had no money, no food, and no hope. He called his two children, Hansel and Gretel, to his side. My dear Hansel and sweet Gretel, I must ask you to do something for me today. While I go to the village to try to sell some wood, I want you to go into the forest and gather some nuts and berries. I fear that shall be all we will have to eat for a while. Well, Hansel was surprised, for he and Gretel had always been forbidden to go into the forest. Well, what if we should lose our way, Father? Take along some bright stones and pebbles, and now and then drop one to mark your trail. When it's time to return home, you can follow your trail of pebbles. But Gretel wondered, Father, how will we know where to look? How will we know which nuts and berries are good to eat? Follow the animals. The squirrels will lead you to the nut trees, and the birds will lead you to the berry bushes and trees. Soon the woodcutter left for the village with a heavy load of firewood strapped to his back. Hunger made him weak and slowed his pace, but he was determined to keep trying for the sake of his trusting and innocent children. Hansel and Gretel set out for the forest. Father is so worried about us, said Gretel. Last night he ate nothing so that you and I could have the last bit of bread. I know. I hope someone buys firewood today. We must do our part. He dropped the stone in the path as they entered the forest. All about them were the scurrying noises of the forest animals. All the creatures were busy finding food. It wasn't long before Hansel cried, Look, Gretel, up there, some squirrels. The squirrels were literally flying from slender bough to slender bough as they traveled through the treetops. Shortly, they came to one tree where the squirrels stopped to eat the nuts. It's a walnut tree, shouted Hansel, and all about them on the ground were ripe walnuts. They began gathering the nuts in their baskets, while the squirrels above looked down and fussed and chattered at them. The squirrels seemed to be saying, Thieves, thieves, go away! Hansel and Gretel laughed at the angry squirrels as they picked up every walnut under the tree. Oh, Hansel, I hope we're as lucky finding berries. Father will be very happy. We must do as he says and look for the birds. Well, don't forget to keep marking the trail. Hansel dropped a pebble by the walnut tree. Oh, dear, I should have brought more pebbles. I only have 3 left. They looked and listened as they moved deeper and deeper into the forest. Reluctantly, Hansel dropped 2 more pebbles in the trail. Finally, they heard the chirping of a flock of finches above. The birds were flying from treetop to treetop. The children ran after them as they flew to the next treetop. Each time they arrived at the tree where the finches had perched, the finches flew on to another. They were going deeper and deeper now into the very heart of the forest. Oh, what do I do now? Said Hansel. That's our last pebble. We can't disappoint Father, cried Gretel. Surely the birds will lead us to a berry tree. Use some of the walnuts to mark the trail. We can pick them all up again on the way back. All right, but we mustn't go too much farther. I'm afraid we're already miles from home. It'll take hours to get back. So on they followed the finches, with Hansel being careful to drop a walnut every few hundred feet. Then, after the longest time, the finches settled down in a clump of trees near a small clearing. There were blueberry bushes growing all about. "Blueberries!" shouted Gretel. "Oh, I knew we would find them. Oh, thank you, little finches, for sharing your treasure with us." Quickly, they gathered as many berries as they could carry. When their baskets were filled, Hansel insisted that they must hurry home, tired as they were. "Father will be worried if we're not home before dark." Back they started through the thick, dark forest. "Soon I should find one of the walnuts I dropped," said Hansel. But he found nothing. "Listen!" cried Gretel. She stopped so suddenly that Hansel almost bumped into her. "Listen to that chattering. It's the squirrels. They followed us." And so they had, snatching every precious walnut Hansel had dropped. They were lost. Gretel began to weep. "We shall never find our way home." "Don't worry," said Hansel. "Father will come and find us. The best thing to do is just to stay right here for the night. And we can eat some of our nuts and berries and save some for morning." He talked soothingly to his sister until night fell, and they became sleepy. As they slept, the eyes of the forest watched, and no harm came to them. The next morning, Gretel was awakened by the call of a large white bird. It was a dove, and it flew right to Gretel's hand. "Look, Hansel, how beautiful!" The dove flew from her hand a short distance and back. Hansel was puzzled. "It seems to be trying to tell us something." "Well, maybe it wants us to follow." "Yes, that must be it." The dove flew ahead, and Hansel and Gretel followed. Could it be leading us home? "Oh, I hope so, Gretel." On they went, putting their hopes and their trust completely in the beautiful white bird. Suddenly, they came into a lovely clearing, and there stood a most unusual little house. The dove perched on the roof as if it were its home. The little house was made of wonderful things. The walls were gingerbread, and all about the windows were gumdrops and rock candy. Peppermint sticks framed the door, and the roof was tiled with cookies. "Oh, Hansel, I'm so hungry. Do you think we dare take a bite?" "I think we are meant to do just that. Why else would the dove have brought us here?" So the two began to taste the wondrous cake and candy house. Never had anything been so delicious to them. Hansel took a large cookie from the roof, and Gretel was just about to take a gumdrop when out from the door rushed a dusty, bent old woman. Everything about her seemed crooked. With her hand, she shielded her small red eyes and squinted. "Is someone there?" Her voice was coarse and squeaky. "Is someone nibbling at my house?" "Oh, forgive us, madam. We were lost and hungry, and we found this wonderful house. We apologize." Hansel was polite, even though he had strange feelings about the old woman. Something was wrong, but he didn't know what. "You are most welcome. Please come inside. I'm a lonely old woman, and it would be nice to have some company. I do like children. Oh, yes, I like children very much. Now come closer. You are children, aren't you?" Her squinty red eyes made Gretel uneasy, but her words were kind and reassuring. The children followed the old woman inside. She bade them sit down, and then she fed them waffles and cake and sweet, delicious milk. "You must drink your milk, dearies. It will make you grow big and healthy." Next, the old woman showed them about the quaint little house. "I know the children need their naps, so I have prepared your beds. After your naps, we can talk about tomorrow and all the things we want to do together." She led them into a room where two small beds were turned down. "Sleep now, my children, while I busy about in the kitchen." Both Hansel and Gretel felt drowsy and had no trouble falling asleep. They slept deeply, for the old woman had put special sleeping powders in their food. While Hansel slept, the old woman lifted him and carried him to a cage outside her door. There she locked him in securely. When Gretel awoke, she wondered where she was. Hansel, Hansel, she cried.
Shut up, fool!
shouted the old woman from the doorway.
Your brother is locked up where he should be, and now you must work for me. When I have fattened the two of you, I shall bake you in the oven. Yes, and you will make a very nice meal. Now take this broom and clean the house. I want it spotless.
Gretel was too shocked and terrified to cry. Dumbly she did as the old woman demanded. As soon as she could work her way near the front door, Gretel crept outside. There was poor Hansel in the cage. Hansel, the old woman is a witch. She's planning to eat us after she fattens us up. Oh, what can we do, Gretel? There's no way I can get out of here. Well, whatever you do, don't get fat. A nasty voice came from behind Gretel.
Get in this house, you lazy child! I told you to sweep!
Yes, ma'am. Goodbye for now, Hansel. For days, the old witch cooked and prepared food for the children. They tried not to eat, but it was so tempting. Each day, the witch would go to Hansel's cage and demand that he stick out a finger so that she might see if he were growing fatter. Hansel had saved a bone from his plate, and whenever the witch asked for his finger, he pushed the bone through the bars.
You don't seem to be gaining any weight. I must feed you even more tonight.
The old witch's eyes were so bad she couldn't tell the difference. Finally, one day, the witch fretted.
Gretel, your brother is not gaining any weight. You, on the other hand, have grown nice and plump. I will start with you. Now get wood for the oven, child, for I can wait no longer.
Gretel went and got the wood. The witch's big brick oven was outside near Hansel's cage. She took the wood over to it, and as she dropped the load of wood on the hearth, she whispered loudly enough for Hansel to hear, Hansel, what can I do? The old witch is going to cook me today. Well, run while you have a chance, Gretel. No, I'll not leave you here, not on my life. Please run. Don't mind me. At least you'll get away. No, I'll think of something.
Gretel?
The old witch called. Yes, ma'am.
Have you got the wood?
Yes, ma'am, and I'm laying the fire.
Do you know how?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Gretel broke the wood sticks and laid them on the grate and lit the fire. Then when the wood had been burning for a while, the witch said,
That fire should be ready by now.
Gretel acted very contrite. Well, ma'am, I don't know what's wrong, and I apologize. Usually I can build a good fire. Maybe the wood's a little green, for it's not burning right.
Stupid girl, it's perfectly good wood. It's you that's done something all wrong. I guess I'll have to fix it.
And she opened the oven door and leaned to look inside. As the witch did so, Gretel rushed behind her and gave her a mighty shove, toppling her right into the oven and slamming the door behind her. A great poof of black smoke belched from the oven, and Gretel knew that the witch was gone for good. Then down from the trees came the white dove. It perched on Gretel's hand and spoke. Thank you, brave child. No longer will I have to lead innocent children here to this once dangerous place, for you have released me from the witch's spell. Go inside and look under the witch's bed. There you will find jewels and gold she has hoarded for years. Take it as your reward. The key to Hansel's cage is there also. Gather those things and free Hansel. Then I shall guide you to your home. The dove led the children through the forest and right up to the doorstep of their home. In a rush of tears and laughter, their father was there. Oh, my children, oh, I've missed you so. Can you forgive your father for being so weak and so poor? But father, we are rich. We have gold and jewels worth 20 fortunes, cried Hansel. And what's more important, interrupted Gretel, we have each other.